Ready?
Yeah.
Alright, what's up vlog? This is Mike, COE. I've got Brad, service manager here at New Scooters for Less. It is April, we're almost here to the summer, and it is storage season. So today we're going to show you how to prep your scooter for summer storage.
Do it.
So when you prep your scooter for summer storage, it's not as simple as just leaving it outside next to your dorm, your apartment, your house. What you really need to consider is 5 simple things. That's making sure your gas tank is full, running the fuel with a fuel additive through the fuel system, pulling the gas line off the carburetor and capping it off, blowing out the carburetor or letting the gas run. So anything that's residual in the carburetor can burn off. And then the last thing would be disconnecting and charging your battery.
So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and fill up your gas tank. On this particular model and a lot of models out there, it has a locking gas cap. One thing I do see a lot of, just so people are aware, is these have a directional way that it goes on. So it has a little triangle on there, and it usually matches up with a triangle on a panel. So if that's you, make sure you pay attention to that, because I see it every day. They come in backwards, and this one's on the outside, not underneath the seat, so it's a little bit more exposed to the weather elements, and you know, water can get in there if it's on backwards, so just be careful of it. Our fuel has stabilizer in it, so I'm not going to physically add this to it, but if you don't have any, we use a fuel additive called Lucas ethanol treatment. It just takes a little capful. You want to do about 1 capful per gallon, and then run it for about 5 minutes, and that'll get the stabilizer through the carburetor jets.
And what does that do exactly for somebody who doesn't know?
Basically, what properties of gas is if it just sits and it's not being run. So if you run your scooter every day, this is not something you're probably too concerned with, but if you're leaving it sitting primarily for a storage or just leaving for a week or so, gas can get really gunky if it's not free flowing. So and basically the way these work, on the carburetor, it has little jets that has to flow through, and those get gunked up and cause blockage, so it can't flow.
Not only that, one of the chemical properties of ethanol, which gets added to all the fuel you get at the gas station, is that it attracts moisture. And that can be, in Florida, we have really humid environment. We get a lot of rainfall during the summer. And so if you have gas that's sitting there with this water magnet that's inside, it's basically pulling in condensation and moisture on the outside of the gas tank and drawing it in. As soon as you get water into the gas, it starts phasing out the gasoline, making it settle in different ways that'll have pretty damaging effects in the way it runs through the fuel system. So anything that you can put that's going to condition that ethanol in is going to make sure that your gas stays healthy while it's sitting in your scooter.
Yeah, the less likely to have to come back and do a carb clean or just replace the carb later.
Keeping you out of the service department.
Cool, so once you have your additive in there, the ethanol treatment, just go ahead and start the scooter and run it for about 5 to 10 minutes. Make sure that gets all the way circulated through our carburetor jets. Basically the big thing we're trying to do is preserve the gas. So we'll go ahead and start it now.
Alright, so right now the main objective is to get the fuel line off the carburetor, and so to do that, the best way to access it is to pull this entire seat bucket up. What you're going to need is a 10mm socket. You can put that on an impact gun or just on a socket wrench, and that's fine. That's really all you need. An extension might help too, but that's just going to help you get the seat bucket out so we can access the carburetor. On most scooters we have these little rubber caps, and they just guard where your 10mm bolts are. So these just are easily removed, and then you can go ahead and take your 10mm socket and pull these up. You have, on most scooters, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's one here in where the seat attaches.
Here's the USB insert plug-in. So just be wary of that when you pull the seat bucket up. It stays attached and you'll have to disconnect it. I'm gonna give it a little tug and bring it up. Then again, our cable's still attached. We'll disconnect that now.
So tied up.
Just set it to the side.
Cool. Now we have access to the carburetor.
So once you pull the seat bucket, you should be looking straight at your carburetor. It'll either have the gold top like this one or a black top on it. And then you'll see something kind of like this. This is your fuel filter, and that leads right into the carburetor. So this is our fuel line, and that's what you're going to want to pull off. So you just give it a little tug and pull it.
A little gas may come out, but as long as the scooter's not on, it shouldn't pour out too much. We want to go ahead and plug it. We use a golf tee. You can use a plastic tee, a wood tee. You can use a spare bolt. and they actually do make things that are specifically for this function, but they all work fine. The biggest point is just to plug that line so no fuel leaks out or anything.
At this point, we can, there's a couple different ways. You want to get the gas out of the carburetor too. Here at the shop we have compressed air, so if you have compressed air, you can just put a blower right up to the nozzle where the fuel line goes on and blow it out. If you don't have that, which probably a lot of our college students don't have, you can just simply run the scooter until that gas gets
The scooter will still start up right now because it has fuel in the carburetor. So if we were going to turn it on right here, you can get the key in, turn it on, and it will still fire up. So basically, if you're not going to go the compressed air route, you can turn it on, you can drive it around a parking lot or anything real close by. You can sit here stable and just kind of gun the engine, and eventually as soon as that gas in the carburetor is dissipated, it'll just burn off. Then you know that everything in the carburetor is gone.
And about how long does that take?
Depends on how much fuel. Like usually it shouldn't take more than 3 to 5 minutes. I get the feeling this one might die sooner than that. A trip around the parking lot is usually enough. You're basically just getting anything that's sitting in the jets out.
So basically this is our blower for, if you have a compressor, you can hook it up to an air line, just pop it in, and then get out of air there. You can just literally you just want to aim this straight into the carburetor fuel line.
Fuel line, right?
The fuel line, yep. Well, not into the fuel line, but into the carburetor. That the fuel line attaches to it. So all you gotta do. So it's hard to get down in the seat bucket sometimes at an angle with a blower, especially if you have one a little bit longer like this one. So I tend to come in from the side, right by the air box, and then right where the fuel line hooks up, just give it a couple blows. And a lot of times you'll see a little bit of a spray. If that happens, completely normal. You're just getting the remaining gas out.
So 2 methods to doing it.
Yeah. So now let's see if we can start that. Okay, now. So I kind of want to. It's not going to stay on for very long. You're just trying to get all trace amounts out. We're good.
Our fuel's done at this point. So you can just put the seat back in for convenience. You can leave it undone if you like, if you're coming straight back to re-prep it when you get home. Now we're going to disconnect our battery because we don't want to drain our power. It's going to be right underneath this floor mat here. It's got 5 screws. We're just going to hit these bolts right here, these little screws. Bring them. So, Alright, so once you have the cover off, you'll have access directly to your battery. So the battery also has a, this is a 10 millimeter socket, so if you have that same socket, you can do the 10 mil right on that battery terminal. It also has a Phillips head screw, so you can screw it off. Be careful with them, because you can strip out these head bolts if you use too much power. So we're just going to remove that negative line. Go ahead and move the positive. Now the battery is completely disconnected with no power at all. Kind of put those right back. It's an easy reassembly when you get back.
Alright, so there's 2 products I want to talk to you about real quick. One is a battery tender. If you're storing your bike at home, this is going to be something good for you if you're doing it for a long period of time. You can hook it up to a battery tender, and it's going to keep that battery fresh. You don't have to worry about it losing charge. It is a lead acid battery that will decharge over time. So hooking it up to a battery tender is going to make sure that that battery stays really fresh for you. We sell these here at the dealership at $49.99. The other thing would be a weather cover. Now this seems really simple, but if you don't have covered parking in order to keep your scooter safe and out of the elements, a weather cover is going to be another piece of insurance for you to make sure that no sun is beating on it and no water is getting in from rainfall or anything. Again, you want to make sure that no water has any chance of getting into your fuel tank, and this is going to help you a long way. And again, these are for sale at the dealership also at $49.99. So Brad, this does seem like a really simple process to do at home. So what are some reasons that somebody would actually want to pay a dealership like New Scooters for Less to have us store their bike for them?
I mean, there's a couple of reasons. Well, one is just peace of mind. If your scooter's running great and you want it to be running great when you come back from a break, you know, drop it off with us. It comes in, it'll leave the exact same way it came in. The other thing is, you know, it's under our shelter. You know, it's protected here. It's inside. It's not being stored outside. A lot of places do that, but you know, we store them inside for you, so they are protected.
A lot of thefts around storage time too,
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of scooters get stolen because, you know, people leave them outside just, you know, expecting it to be fine, and then they come back to their dorm or their, you know, their apartment outside where they keep them, and all of a sudden the scooter's not gone, and you know, they report it. So when the cop will find it, I mean, the police eventually find them. We get a lot of stolen scooters that are recovered, and they just want to see what it is to fix it. So we get a lot of those in for service a lot.
So here at New Scooters for Less, we do store year-round. We hit all the major holidays when the students are away, as well as any time a hurricane runs through. Anything that's going to have a negative effect on your scooter, whether it's the running or whether it's the chances of getting stolen, all you have to do is just give us a call and we'll be happy to store it for you. Otherwise, here's a video that'll help you do the process at home. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach us out by phone number or by email, and we'll be happy to help you along the way.
Until next time. Until next time. All right. Thank you for watching this vlog on storage. We'll catch you next time.
See you.